Hello? Shoyan here. Today, I'm working on the entryway. It's a compact little space. I'm going to finish it to be practical and charming. This entryway is one of the smallest I've ever worked on. Definitely in the top 2. It's small and charming. I'm putting some thought into it and trying to make it stylish and functional. The flooring's already done, so I'm starting from the ceiling this time. Part of the stairs cuts into the entryway at an angle, which makes the ceiling a bit tricky here. Including the tiled area and the hallway, it's roughly 3.6 square meters. Because of the shape, I've got to bend the rules a bit in how I install the ceiling boards. To minimize seams, I'm running the same board into the adjacent bathroom ceiling too. With a board this deeply notched in the middle, there's no way I can hold it up by myself. I could get by using my assistant, a support rod, but the ceiling's split into 2 sections, so I had my son give me a hand just this once. Normally, I work alone on carpentry jobs. Now that the ceiling's done, I move on to the walls. Where the staircase begins, right above the first step, I'm building an arch. You often see arches partway down hallways, but here, it's right at the top of the stairs. It looks nice when you're climbing the stairs, but it can feel a bit tight when you're walking down. Still, from a guest's point of view, it's charming and makes a nice impression. I'll admit this arch is a bit of a challenge to make. I'm using M-cloth panels for this one. I start by dry fitting them to get the height just right, match the 2 pieces together perfectly, then cut both at the same time using a jigsaw. That way, I won't get any twists or uneven edges. I've actually done arches like this before. The M-cloth doesn't use hard veneers, but cutting 2 sheets together with a jigsaw doesn't always go cleanly in one pass. Ideally, I'd use a curved hand plane to fine-tune the arc, but I never remember to bring it ahead of time. That's the frustrating part. When I don't have it, I use the tip of a saw blade or a board rasp, which is a mix between a file and a hacksaw blade. That lets me shape a pretty accurate arc. Still, nothing beats a curved plane for this kind of work. I were making the arch from standard plasterboard, I'd need a proper curved backing to support it. But with M-cloth panels made of veneer layers, the panel itself becomes a 12mm thick curved base. Just drop in a stud at the center and it becomes a solid arch backing made right from the wall panel. Now I attach flexible plywood to the bottom edge of the arch. It's 12mm thick. I don't know the proper name, but it bends easily. There used to be better quality stuff available, but these days Luan plywood has dropped in quality. It's made of dark reddish-brown hard veneer layers. I hope it doesn't bleed tannins. Sounds like Luan's getting harder to come by these days. Next, I glue the flexible plywood starting from the bottom edge. One side already has a wall board, so I notch the board slightly where the flexible plywood stops to make sure it locks in place. Then I place a backing piece on only one side and use screws to pull the plywood upward into the curve. That forces it to follow the arch naturally. Since the wall will be finished with wallpaper, the dark red plywood is fine. But if the finish were diatomaceous earth or plaster, that dark red plywood could bleed tannins and leave stains. In that case, I'd have to run plasterboard down to the underside of the arch instead. Next, I move on to enclosing the staircase with wall panels. I'm building a shoe cabinet under the stairs. I want to mount shelf rails there, so I wrap all three sides in M-cloth. Since the stairs cut in at an angle, I'll be hiding that angled part with the wall. Winder stairs like these can't be boxed in cleanly with diagonal walls. For the straight three-step portion up top, I can bring the wall down straight, but I can't just panel the winder section like that. So I'll cover those upper three steps by boxing them in horizontally at the ceiling. That means the ceiling or a wall won't end up as a clean diagonal surface. It'll have some breaks in it. The plan was to fit the staircase into the smallest footprint possible and try to make full use of the space underneath. It ended up just barely leaving enough headroom to walk past the shoe cabinet, which is great. I figured it'd work when I first measured, but as the stairs went in, it started to feel like a tighter fit than expected.
これではこうやの。
このスリッパにもよるで。
割とこの辺にねな感じで。こしょ。
There'll be shoe storage along the stairs as well. It'll fit plenty of shoes. Behind that, there'll be a storage space, so it gets narrower toward the back. I'm using every inch of space I can. There's nothing left unused. With the shoe cabinet structure done, I move on to the wall facing the entryway. There's a bathroom right there, so there's a diagonal wall to make it feel less cramped. I build the framing for that angled section. I loosely frame it with lumber beforehand and slide it into place. Cutting each piece one by one and building it at the angle area would be time-consuming. So instead, I build the frame a bit loose and just set it in place as a single unit. For this kind of framing, you can't run the wires across the surface. You've got to drill through the framing and pass them inside. That part ends up as carpentry work too. For this section, I don't need any backing. I install drywall over the angled section and the wall.
でかいんか。
Next, I start working on the slipper
なん
rack.
で4つが
It's actually just a frame, but it's a tall and narrow 4-tier rack. Enough space for one pair per tier. Actually, I've never built one before. We've always had a slipper rack, but when I tried to picture it, nothing really came to mind. So I looked up a few examples online. Turns out there are all sorts of designs. I'm going with the simplest one, 4 thin stainless rods running horizontally. You hang the slippers on there vertically, 4 pairs in total. That's the kind I'll be making. I also installed a casing for the storage opening. Even the narrow section under the stairs is going to be used for storing cardboard boxes and such. Finally, I go around installing the baseboard, including above the entryway baseboard. The same baseboard runs through the shoe cabinet, entry hall, bathroom, and staircase. I've now finished working on the entryway. I thought it might feel a bit tight at first, but with the shoe cabinet, slipper rack, and storage, it turned out to be quite practical. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.